The Minecraft updates just keep getting worse. If you don't know, recently the 1.20 update came out and my thoughts on it are kind of mixed. On one side, you get something people have been asking for ages like cherry trees, but on the flip side, you get a whole bunch of useless stuff as well. For example, you have camels and sniffers. Now, I can see how adding camels to the game adds atmosphere overall, but honestly, there's no real use to it. I don't know about you, but my expectation was that you'd be able to store loot on it like you can in real life, but it turns out this is actually not the case at all. It is not used in that kind of way. And another mob they added recently was the sniffer, and I feel like the whole task of the sniffer is just getting it. And then once it's hatched, you're not really gonna do anything with it. But hey, you get this really weird alien-like flower, right? Another gripe I have with the update is the archaeology side of things. It just seems kind of pointless to me. So your whole goal is to go around and basically sweep for items, but what you're getting is just kind of a culmination of things you don't really need. But mostly you're doing it because you're trying to get shards because you can build a new block with it. And so you've collected the shards, you've put them together, and you've made a pot. But now what? Again, this is one of my biggest problems is you can't even do anything with the block once you've made it. Like, it's not used for storage. You can't put plants inside of it. It's just kind of there. Just by judging the demeanor over the last couple years, you can tell Mojang is definitely stressed out about these updates. For example, the Caves and Cliffs update was so huge that they had to split it completely in half. And if you ask me, there are so many versions of the game that they're trying to update simultaneously. So when they run into issues with one, all of a sudden that stops the process for the rest of them. If you go back with me to the early days, like 2011, 2012, they were rolling out updates every week because they only had to focus on one version of the game. I understand that back then there wasn't as much corporate involved, they weren't signed to Microsoft, but it made a huge difference. They used to do those Secret Friday updates where they would just introduce new features and you would just load up the game and try to figure out what's going on. And to me at the time as a kid, I just remember that being insanely impactful on me. These days, I can't help but feel like everything is just so cluttered. On that same note about everything feeling kind of useless and like it doesn't fit into a category, I wanted to talk about the mob votes that they've been doing for the last couple years. So far, we've been introduced to a glow squid that doesn't glow, an ally that not even Etho is willing to use, the phantom that everybody finds annoying, and of course the sniffer that gives you a really ugly flower. Now listen, before you get the pitchforks, I'm not trying to be a hater. I still love the game. I still play it frequently, but as a longtime fan and player of the game, I feel like our voices aren't really heard by Mojang anymore, and so I wanted to make a video just kind of putting them out there. Going all the way back to 1.0 when they introduced the Ender Dragon, I think at the time it was really great and cool to me, and it's something fundamental to the game now that I couldn't see them removing. But I see a lot of the sentiment coming from old fans that really messed up the progression of the game, and I have to say I totally agree. Prior to 1.0, I remember creating worlds with my friends that would sometimes last up to years. And you could chalk this opinion up to just that old nostalgia, or maybe because I was a kid, it was more fun at the time. But these days, creating a new world and beating the game, I find myself getting lost and bored within days. Over the last year or so, I've seen a growing movement on Reddit called Golden Age Minecraft. Now, the whole philosophy of that community is about playing the early beta and alpha versions of the game. And I found myself recently really getting absorbed and invested in that community. More so than anything else in the space has hit me in a very long time. Through that community and just YouTube recommendations, I've actually gone down the rabbit hole of finding a bunch of YouTubers I enjoy that just go through old alpha and beta worlds. My perspective has been changing a lot recently, but I almost feel like being able to beat the game completely betrays what the original concept was. It was this free and open sandbox game where you and your friends can jump on and you create what you want. There's just a specific feeling when looking at that original game that makes you feel like you're alone in that world. Everything felt peaceful, but at the same time, you felt a little uncomfortable. But listen, I understand that we're here now and there is no going back to what there was before. And I think it's great that we have a community that still wants to keep intact what was, and we have a new community pushing forward. But what needs to happen from here, honestly, I couldn't really tell you. It seems like at this point, the game has grown so much to this giant monster that not even the creators know what to do with. Anyways, though, this is a topic that I'm really passionate about and really wanted to just share my thoughts today. We'll leave it at that. Thanks.